Many of you are familiar with my alternative to exams, but several of you are not. And because you're not familiar, I want to spend just a little bit of time going over what constitutes a module. And as you can see here, what I've done is I've blown up the syllabus a little bit, and I've just put it in this window to walk you through it and describe exactly what the module is and what it is not. So a module, as far as I'm concerned, is an opportunity for each student to show me how much you know, is to perform something that you've practiced a lot of times. And so instead of looking for failure and for mistakes, I'm more like a parent watching their kid perform on stage, where I would prefer to see all of the cool things that you've learned and all of the great insights. And however you want to show me that is wonderful. And for those of you who are not familiar with this module routine, you should ask some of your classmates. I sit there silently. I don't make faces or provide you any feedback during the session, primarily because I don't want to make you anxious. And my emphasis throughout all of this is to see the best in you, not to see the worst. I'm not interested in tricking you. I'm not interested in finding, needling little tiny details out of you to show you that clearly you are unprepared. Instead, I would like you to come in well rehearsed, or have a routine that's well rehearsed, where you sit down and you've done it so many times that you're actually tired of it. It's like a piece that you've practiced so often that you just want to play it, and you want to play it so that you can show others that you've practiced it for so long and that you're polished and you have a polished presentation. And because of that, I believe that if you have that mentality, you will perform at your potential. And that's really what I want. Is I don't want something that is a high stress environment. I want a relaxing environment. But at the same time, I'm realistic. I'm a professor, and many of you are not comfortable around professors, and I was the same way. And I completely understand if you sit in my office and you try to demonstrate what you know, that it's nerve-wracking. And that's why if you practice this enough times, it should be fairly comforting that you come in and you do the same routine over and over again, that you come in and you perform that same routine, and it's as if it's a part of you. And so what I'm expecting in each of you in your performance is a clear demonstration of your mastery of this material. Now, this material, there's nothing novel to it. A lot of this is review, and as you can see here, this is my checklist. And I sit during the module, and I have this little checklist in front of me, and I just look to make sure that everything is checked off. And so, during the first module, you're going to perform a bivariate model and a multivariate model. And in each case, you're going to explain the purpose of the modeling procedure, which is regression, and why you're doing it. And then you're going to explain the parts of each of the models, both bivariate and multivariate. You're going to conduct an analysis. You're going to explain all the results. You'll run diagnostics and discuss implications. Now, if you're wise, you'll run a bivariate model, and with the same data, you'll throw in an extra variable and run a multivariate model. And the reason why I say if you're wise is you only have 15 minutes. So you have 15 minutes to demonstrate all of these things. And what I recommend you do is practice it enough so that you feel comfortable in 15 minutes taking a data set and running through this entire checklist. And you should be facile enough with it that you have a routine down, that you know exactly what to do. I will distribute data sets well in advance. As you know from my syllabus, you have to perform at least one in front of me, and the rest can be video or in front of Dan. That's fine. For Dan's my TA. And for those of you who are uncomfortable with this idea, I would like you to come and see me. And the reason why I'd like for you to come and see me is that I think in some cases it's the distance between students and faculty that lead you guys, or actually both sides, to distrusting one another. But I assure you that my intentions are genuine, and I will treat you with the same amount of respect I always treat you, and I'm really interested in watching you perform well. Now, if you consult the syllabus, you'll know that I grade with there are just 3 grades. There's 0, which I never like to give, and really what I do is if I recognize that you don't know what you're doing, I'll just stop you and I'll say, listen, it doesn't seem like you've practiced very well. Why don't you go back and practice a little bit more? And it saves you the frustration of having to go through 15 minutes of pain and agony, where it's like sitting in front of a crowd where you're supposed to play the piano and you've never practiced before. Well, as a kid who took piano and never practiced, I know what that feels like, and it's horrible. So I'll save you the agony, and I usually don't give 0s. A 1 is for somebody who just goes through the checklist, and that's fine. And people who perform at a 1 level are, that's good. That's good. And I don't think that that's a negative. So a 1 is satisfactory completion of the module, and that's wonderful. A 2 is mastery, and really is an advanced proficiency that I would expect from doctoral level students or students that really want to master quantitative methods. And a 2 comes from demonstrating all of these, everything on the checklist, and also integrating optional readings into this checklist. That if you can integrate readings seamlessly into this checklist, that clearly demonstrates to me that you know what you're doing and you understand at a deeper level what the material is about. And the optional readings will be posted shortly, and those optional readings are not meant to be punitive, but really to expand your appreciation for a lot of what we've talked about. Now, I realize that the last few weeks there's a lot of material that you have to integrate, but these modules are much simpler, and to me they're good opportunities for you to just demonstrate what you know rather than take a formal test, because tests are nerve-wracking and tests are almost always difficult to write. A novel test for each semester and have unbiased parameter estimates about your ability, your learning of this material. So I find that this is a little bit more flexible, and each of you can demonstrate these checklist items any way you so desire. And in the next video after this, I'm going to give you my perfectly imperfect demonstration of what I would think is a module. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to run through my module, and you'll see that. And then afterwards, it'll be a fairly long video, but afterwards, I'm going to talk about what I think I did well and what I didn't do well. And I'll have the checklist here, so I'll go over it, and you'll be able to see what I did and what I didn't do, and perhaps what I ought to have done. And then we can move on, and you can learn from some of my mistakes, but also you should study together and you work together on different module approaches and try to be unique. I prefer not to see all the same thing over and over again. So just to the best of your ability, be creative, show me what you know, and we'll all be happy. So that's it. That's Module 1 description, and that will be the description for all the modules. Just the content changes, and you can see here there we go to advanced linear models, moderation and mediation, and so on and so forth. So that's really the modules in a nutshell. So stay tuned for my Module 1 demonstration, my perfectly imperfect demonstration.